Hey, Dr. Nika here, and welcome to our new episode of What You Read. Today, we're going to be looking at the book Piecing Me Together by New York Times bestselling author Renee Watson. In this incredible book, we follow the story of protagonist Jade, a smart, Spanish-loving, collage-making African-American teen who's embarking on her junior year of high school at a private, predominantly white private school in Portland, Oregon. This book is so delightful because we follow Jade on this incredible journey of self-discovery and personal growth, all the while tackling hard and important topics like racism, privilege, friendship, and all those incredible pieces that help to make a life. Let's get to it. As always, I've got 3 things that I want to share with you. Point number 1, multiple narratives. So often when I read books that involve Black characters, there tends to be a single narrative that's given, one that emphasizes hardship and need. And what I love is that Renee does an incredible job of expanding our literary view of Black people. We get to see them as both receiving from and contributing to society. And she doesn't shy away from hard issues like body image, stereotyping, classism, and internalized racism. In fact, I think she does a masterful job of humanizing these issues, giving a face to them with characters that we actually become invested in and care about. And through them, we get to see the complexity and the nuance of these topics that I think are often overlooked. Point number 2, identity. Who am I? Is a question that I feel echoes on just about every page of this book, though not ever really explicitly stated. This question is asked by Jade in so many ways, and frankly, I think just about every character that we encounter through her is asking that same question. They're asking it of themselves, and in some ways they're asking it of Jade. Is Jade a smart kid bound and determined to rise above the poverty she was born into, or is she one of those Black kids that you want to avoid, that you want to watch or control? Society is constantly imposing upon us, particularly those of us who belong to marginalized groups, some sort of narrative. And we see Jade wrestling with those competing narratives, and in a way, her wrestling invites us to do the same, to really give thought to what are the stories and narratives that we're telling ourselves, and what are those narratives that society is trying to assign to us, and how do they meet, if at all? What I loved about this character is just seeing her live out what I think uniquely is being both the exception and the rule all at the same time. Point number 3, relationships are hard. Jade has multiple key figures in her life, all of whom have their contradictions as well as their gifts. But one friendship stands out to me in particular, and that's her friendship with a female white peer. And what I think Renee does so skillfully is she takes us on a journey and helps us to really experience the joy of finding a kindred spirit, as well as the heartbreak of having our pain dismissed. In the past few months, we've seen calls for justice and anti-racism work just increase and crescendo in really powerful ways. But I think it's also underscored how difficult and tough relationships can be, whether those are relationships with loved ones, co-workers, neighbors, people in our communities, even fellow citizens. But like Jade, I think we are all called to make a heavy decision. We have to constantly decide when a relationship is worth our investment and when it's time to call it quits. So there you have it, my 3 takeaways from this incredible book. I absolutely adored every piece of this book. And look, I'm obviously not a teenager, but I felt so connected to Jade, and I was incredibly invested in her happiness and in her success. And I'm gonna ask you to do yourself and everybody you know a huge favor. Go get this book, and then when you've done reading it, share it with everybody that you know. You will not regret it. I've had the pleasure of personally knowing and interviewing the acclaimed author Renee Watson, and let me tell you, listening to her read her own words on audio was just the best thing ever. So if you can get this book in audio version, I strongly encourage you to do that as well. And if you want to hear more about Renee and how she thinks about art and young people and just surviving COVID in the middle of all of this, you can check out my interview with her on the media tab. Just click Surviving COVID-19 with Dr. Nika and you'll see my interview with her there. You can also just access it on the link below. Until next time, bye.